Hello and welcome. Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Gautam Roy, and coming up in the next hour, India gets ready for counting day on Tuesday to find out the results of its general elections. Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim Assembly poll results are already out. Arunachal stays with the BJP. The SKM sweeps Sikkim. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds a series of meetings on Sunday ranging from assessing the impact of cyclone Remal and the prevailing heat wave situation in the country. South Africa's once unassailable ANC loses its 30-year majority in national polls, accepts it will have to find partners among rivals, but says it won't ditch President Ramaphosa to cut a deal. And the White House says it expects Israel to accept President Biden's truce plan if Hamas agrees, but two hardline ministers in Netanyahu's government threaten to quit if he accepts. First up, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi reviewed the impact of cyclone Remal at his residence in capital New Delhi on Sunday. The Prime Minister was briefed about the impact of the cyclone on the affected states during this meeting. The loss of human lives and damage to homes and properties due to landslides and floods in Mizoram, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya and Tripura was also discussed. During this meeting, it was mentioned that the Ministry of Home Affairs is in regular touch with the respective state governments. The Prime Minister said that the Government of India will continue to extend full support to the states affected by the cyclone. The PM also instructed the Home Ministry to monitor the situation and review the matter regularly to extend necessary assistance for restoration. And Prime Minister Modi also chaired a meeting to review the situation related to the ongoing heat wave in the country and the preparedness for the onset of the monsoons. Prime Minister Modi has instructed that proper drills for preventing and handling incidents of fire must be done on a regular basis. Fire audit and electrical safety audit of hospitals and other public places must be undertaken regularly as well. He also said that regular drills for the maintenance of fire line in forests and productive utilization of the biomass must be planned. Let's get you more on this. Arun Sharma, my colleague, joins us for more on this. He regularly covers the Prime Minister's office and the Prime Minister's activities. Arun, good evening to you. What can you tell us more about these set of meetings, more than half a dozen of them through the day, I believe?
Well, absolutely. In a series of meetings, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Sunday chaired various meetings, and some of the prominent meetings include to that of taking the review of the impact or the aftermath of the cyclone Remal that we are witnessing in the northeastern part of our country. Now, yesterday, if you recall, a day before, the Prime Minister's office has announced an ex gratia of 2 lakh rupees to the next of kin of the deceased due to the aftermath of the cyclone. And today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has chaired this important meeting on the cyclone Remal. And you know that as of now, various SDRF and NDRF teams are still deployed, and people have been moved out to the shelter and the safer areas. The idea and the focus as of now, various department is that how to ensure the restoration process can be fast-tracked. How can connectivity, specifically the physical infrastructure connectivity that includes road, that can be ensured so that the connectivity can be provided, and also the phone lines get disrupted because of the after effect of the cyclone. So how can the connectivity, the communications primarily that can be restored? So that's the priority, and how can the essentials and necessary items can be provided to the people in the northeastern part of the country. Second important aspect that Prime Minister Modi chaired today is, of course, on the heat wave situation. Because of the soaring temperature, all across the country. First of all, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was briefed about the fact that the high temperature is going to stay for the next few days as well. As far as this, the northern part of India is concerned, specifically Rajasthan, Delhi, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, for that matter. So in this area, of course, the heat wave situation is going to stay. But importantly, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has instructed various government officials to ensure that, how can drills can be done as far as firefighting is concerned, or to ensure that if in case a fire incident happens, how to tackle the situation, and if the infrastructure is ready or not as far as these fire incidents are concerned, because at a lot of places these fire incidents are being witnessed, be it buildings, be it because of the air coolers, or be it in various hospitals. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi has given clear instructions to various government departments to ensure that the proper audit of all these fire and electrical departments are being done. Second important aspect is about forest fire. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi has instructed to use the portal known as One Agni for any kind of forest fire incident, and to track that in real time. So yes, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has ensured that how can a holistic and integrated approach can be there as far as the cyclone Remal is concerned, and of course the heat wave, the prevailing heat wave condition is concerned in our country.
All right, Arun. Thanks a lot for joining us with that update. Let's now get you the latest in the world's largest election that has unfolded in India, and now results are awaited on Tuesday. Well, even before the results emerged of the national elections on Tuesday, the BJP on Sunday returned to power in India's northeastern state of Arunachal Pradesh, while the ruling Sikkim Krantikarti Morcha, or the SKM, secured a second term in Sikkim. Voting was held for 60 assembly seats in Arunachal Pradesh and 32 assembly seats in Sikkim on the 19th of April. That was in the first phase of the 7-phase elections. According to India's Election Commission, the BJP returned to power in Arunachal Pradesh for the third time in a row after winning 46 seats. Results were declared on Sunday for 50 of the 60 assembly seats, as the ruling party had already won 10 seats unopposed. Chief Minister Pema Khandu was one of the 10 party candidates who won unopposed earlier. Meanwhile, Chief Minister Pema Khandu called on the Governor of Arunachal Pradesh, Lieutenant General K.T. Parnaik, at Raj Bhavan and tendered his resignation along with the Council of Ministers. Prime Minister Narendra Modi thanked the people of Arunachal Pradesh for the victory of the BJP. The PM added that the BJP will work with great fervour for the state's growth. And in Sikkim, the Sikkim Krantikari Morcha, led by Chief Minister Prem Singh Tamang, won 31 out of the 32 seats. SDF, the Sikkim Democratic Front, won just one seat. Chief Minister Prem Singh Tamang Gole emerged victorious in the Remal constituency, securing a decisive win over his Sikkim Democratic Front rival, Somnath Podial, by a margin of over 7,000 votes. Five-time former Chief Minister and SDF Supremo Pawan Kumar Chamling lost from both Poklo Kamrang and Namche Bung assembly seats. Prime Minister Modi has also thanked the people who voted for the BJP in Sikkim. Taking to X, the PM wrote, and I quote, "I thank all those who voted for Sikkim BJP in the assembly elections. I also appreciate the efforts put in by our Karyakartas. Our party will always be at the forefront of working towards Sikkim's development and fulfilling people's aspirations." The BJP, in fact, was in coalition with the Sikkim Krantikari Morcha just ahead of the elections. The coalition had broken down, but now it seems that ties with the centre and the BJP will be renewed by the new SKM government as and when it's sworn in. Now, India's Election Commission has issued a handbook to poll officials ahead of the counting of votes of recently held general elections. The counting of votes for the general elections and the state legislative assemblies of Andhra Pradesh and Odisha and by-elections to assembly constituencies shall be held on the 4th of June, that's Tuesday, starting 8 in the morning Indian Standard Time. India's Chief Election Commissioner Rajiv Kumar, along with 2 election commissioners, had reviewed the counting day preparations with all chief electoral officers and returning officers. the counting trends and results according to the data entered by the returning officer or assistant returning officer for assembly constituencies and parliamentary constituencies will be available on the ECI website as well as on the Voter Helpline app, both on iOS and the Android mobile platforms. The Voter Helpline app can be downloaded from Google Play Store or the Apple Store, App Store. The poll body has also issued a handbook for returning officers and counting agents available on the ECI website. Now, Tuesday is a much anticipated day in India and even worldwide. It's a day when we'll finally get to know the outcome of the world's largest democratic exercise. However, on Saturday, after the end of the polling in the 7th and final phase of the elections, over a dozen exit polls results hit the news networks, and all of them gave a more than comfortable majority to Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led BJP and its allies, making up the NDA, starring much debate. Take a look.
All the heat and dust of the electioneering ended on Saturday with the 7th and final phase of polling in India for its national elections. Counting of votes is to take place on Tuesday, but Saturday evening saw a flurry of exit poll results being beamed by different Indian news networks. All gave a resounding third term to India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. News network after news network came up with near unanimous figures. 11 exit pollsters forecast that PM Modi's BJP and its allies would win anywhere from 350 to 380 seats out of the 540 in the Lok Sabha, the lower house of the Indian Parliament. 3 of these exit polls even took the NDA alliance beyond the 400 seats mark, which was the declared election war cry of the BJP in these polls. Only one, conducted by TV9 Bharat Varsh, gave the NDA less than 350 seats, but still much more than the 272 required to form a government. Averaging of all the data churned out by the different pollsters brought forth the poll of polls, which have the NDA at 365, the India Alliance 146, and others at 32 seats. Exit polls can sometimes go wrong, but their near unanimity this time around stands out. However, the opposition refused to give exit polls any credence ahead of the actual results, evoking ridicule from the BJP and pollsters alike.
इसका नाम एग्जिट पोल नहीं है, इसका नाम मोदी मीडिया पोल है। ये मोदी जी का पोल है, फैंटेसी पोल है उनका। थैंक यू।
The Congress party obviously doesn't know its arithmetic. Even if they add all the digits that they're talking about, that will not be their tally. The Bharatiya Janata Party is on its way to victory under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi. The way his schemes have percolated down to the poorest of poor, one thing is apparent, Jo jeeta wohi Sikandar, but the jeet is clearly that of Narendra Modi ji.
Politicians are free to say whatever they wish to say. They can say that they are fantasy polls of Mr. Modi. But when our exit polls were showing Congress is winning in Karnataka, when our trackers and everybody was showing that Congress is winning in Telangana, or for that matter, even if you count other India Alliance partner, West Bengal, Delhi, Punjab, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and so on and so forth, whenever we were saying that they are leading and they are winning, were we fantasy polls of Rahul Gandhi? Were we fantasy polls of Arvind Kejriwal, fantasy poll of Mamata Banerjee or Stalin?
Exit polls always stir up a debate, whether they give a clear or a jumbled up verdict. But their shelf life remains short, and it's the actual election results that matter. Counting day on Tuesday is not far, and we'll soon find out who stands where. Bureau Report, DD India.
And to talk about this further with us, we have our guest joining us, Shekhar Iyer, senior journalist, joining us from Bengaluru today. Shekhar, what has taken you to Bengaluru? Is it related to the elections, and what do you make of these exit polls? Where do you stand where these exit polls are concerned? Are you skeptical, or do you think that they are bang on?
Well, they are broadly indicating a trend, because more than a dozen polls have been taking place, almost all, excepting barring one or two. All of them have indicated very, very comfortable majority for the Narendra Modi-led BJP, and all indications are that BJP could be anywhere between 300 plus, and 335 or whatever, and NDA itself would be 340 or beyond 340 also. At least two of them are saying close to 400. But one thing is clear, Gautam, the overall the trend is something that was indicated even before the elections began, where people spoke of advantage for NDA, and that the tremendous support for the Prime Minister, popularity of the Prime Minister, that has stood out through these things. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be the first Prime Minister who came to power after, who led his party to a complete majority on its own in 2014, who ensured the BJP again returned to power with a very comfortable majority for the second time, and has now ensured that a third term is possible with a comfortable majority, as the exit polls indicate. Therefore, one has to look at not at the exact exit polls, but rather the reason why such a trend is being forecast. That has a lot to do with a lot of initiatives undertaken by the Prime Minister in the last 10 years, and also some of the broad flagship programs that have brought result on the ground, Gautam.
And simply in terms of political performance, clearly the BJP and the NDA seems to be doing better in areas, in places where it did not get the kind of support that it expected in 2019. Now things have improved perhaps for it, and where it has its strongholds, it has remained, its support base has remained steadfastly with it.
Definitely, Gautam, you are going to see BJP improve its performance in Uttar Pradesh. And after the assembly election results in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh, the indications are BJP is more or less going to repeat what it had in 2019. And states where the exit polls are indicating a very good improvement is states like Andhra Pradesh, Telangana and Karnataka. They are not losing as was thought to be. And Tamil Nadu and Kerala are places where the party is expected to open an account. On the other hand, Maharashtra, the exit polls are indicating that there would be loss of seats for the BJP, but not as badly as it was feared. Whereas in Gujarat, all the indications are BJP will win all the 26 seats. So therefore, if you look at the broad picture that is emerging, it is the endorsement of the Prime Minister, endorsement of the Prime Minister's leadership, and as well as BJP's constant renewal of its USP among the electorate. Gautam.
Right. Now, what do you make of the flip side of the argument, the opposition saying that these are all polls that have in a way been forced by the dispensation, Rahul Gandhi going to the extent of calling it these are Mr. Modi's polls, and there are others who are sounding a bit nonplussed also by the kind of unanimity that these exit polls have presented, saying that there was no way, but how is this happening? Did they fail to read the signs?
Well, you can see that the Congress has set itself on a course where they may not even accept the final mandate that comes. See, for various reasons, they could not swallow the fact
I think the last time Rahul Gandhi was smiling when he accepted the mandate in 2019.
See, they have not accepted the mandate of 2014 also, 2019 also. Now in 2024 also, the mood is to question whether the polls were held free and fair. And they are raising questions about EVM. They even went to the court. Then raising questions about Election Commission's conduct. Now you can see that these are all shows where the Congress in particular is not able to digest the fact that the BJP is going to manage a third term with a very comfortable majority because of the kind of policies that the Prime Minister Modi has pursued. And the role of women voters is also coming out strongly in favor of the BJP. And the fact that opposition did not have a really workable alliance in all the states. Even in Uttar Pradesh, it was at the last round, you saw more of joint campaigns by Akhilesh and Rahul Gandhi. In Delhi, I am told the alliance between Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress did not work down to the cadre level. So there was a lot of confusion. So these are indications which clearly show that the Congress needs to take its task more seriously.
Okay.
And also, if it has to appear as an alternative, a viable alternative to the BJP, it has to do much more.
Okay.
Whereas,
Let's also consider some of the academic arguments. People say, again, some of the opposition are saying that, exit polls have known to have got it really wrong. They got it wrong in the case of West Bengal in the assembly elections. We've seen it happen in the case of Bihar as well. Even in these exit polls, certain faux pas have been pointed out where more number of seats have been given to certain coalitions and parties than the total number of seats in that particular state.
yes, there have been errors in projection.
These are
of
errors.
Yeah, I would call them clerical errors. These are not, we know when a graphic is prepared, sometimes there is overlap or it is overseen or things are not checked out finally. So that is what has happened. But of course, the Congress party is clinging on to that and say that, look, this shows the figures are not right. See, we are more than the figures, I think, Gautam, we have to look at the trend.
Yeah.
And the trend shows...
That's what, I mean, if it's wrong, if these exit polls are wrong, to what extent can they be wrong? To this much of an extent that if most of them are showing that the BJP and the NDA is getting 350 plus seats, it'll dwindle to 150?
So that's what what the opposition is not appreciating. See, there were times when the exit polls were showing it right also. Like, they were right about Karnataka, they were right about Himachal, they were right about Telangana. See, exit poll has to be taken with maybe a little bit of salt, but at the same time, seldom has the overall trend been completely reversed by actual polls.
Okay, let's leave it at that, Shekhar. And of course, the final arbiter will be the people's mandate on the 4th, and not too long to go for that. And I'm sure we'll be then sitting across from each other again. Perhaps you in Delhi. I'm told that you might even be in Delhi now, not Bengaluru. Maybe we got it wrong, but thanks for joining us for the time being. And still to come on DD India News Hour. We'll get you all the updates from the Shangri-La dialogue in Singapore. A lot of, diplomatic moves happening there. Raging grass fire in central California has forced evacuations.
After a grueling campaign, after exhausting polling spanning 7 phases, the stage is set for the counting day, the grand finale of the largest electoral exercise ever. DD India is all decked up and ready, counting of votes for India's general elections. Accurate and fast results, in-depth analysis with experts and reporters everywhere. Only on DD India, 4th June, 6 a.m. onwards. After a grueling campaign, after exhausting polling spanning 7 phases, the stage is set for the counting day, the grand finale of the largest electoral exercise ever. DD India is all decked up and ready, counting of votes for India's general elections. Accurate and fast results, in-depth analysis with experts and reporters everywhere. Only on DD India, 4th June, 6 a.m. onwards.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. A delegation of BJP-led Union Finance Minister and BJP leader Nirmala Sitharaman met the Election Commission of India in New Delhi on Sunday. BJP leader and Union Minister Piyush Goyal was also there. He said that the party raised 4 issues with the Chief Election Commissioner and the other 2 election commissioners. Among the 4 requests, the delegation asked the Commission to make sure that every official engaged in the counting process is fully conversant with the minutest details of the prescribed process.
We have requested the Election Commission to ensure that every official engaged in the counting process is fully conversant with the minutest details of the prescribed process and engages diligently with all the Election Commission of India protocols, counting protocols, so that there can be no deviation whatsoever from what has been provided. 2, to ensure the safety and security of the electoral process during the counting and announcement of results, including enhanced monitoring and security measures to prevent any attempts at violence or unrest. 3, to take cognizance of the systematic attempts to undermine the electoral process and take stringent action against those responsible. And 4, issue a public statement affirming the integrity of the electoral process and warning against any attempts to disrupt the democratic process.
On the other hand, a delegation of Indian National Development Inclusive Bloc or INDI Alliance also met the full bench of Election Commission of India with multiple demands.
Multi-party delegation spent time with the Election Commission and we are very grateful they gave us time at short notice on 2 or 3 major issues. The most important was the vital importance of counting postal ballots first, of declaring the result of postal ballots first. This is very clearly stated in the statutory rule, Rule 54A, which specifically says that you shall take up and deal with the postal ballots first. First is not my word, it is a statutory rule.
The German Foreign Office has congratulated Indians for successfully conducting the world's largest democratic elections. It said that Germany is looking forward to working with India's new government and taking cooperation to the next level. In a post on X, the German Foreign Office said, and I quote, "Congratulations to the Indian people for successfully concluding the world's largest democratic elections. We are looking forward to working with India's new government and to taking our cooperation with India to the next level." The 21st edition of the Shangri-La Dialogue draws to a close in Singapore on Sunday. Participants held discussions on a number of pressing security issues, including conflict in Ukraine, Taiwan tensions, and China's threat in the Indo-Pacific.
Asia's premier security summit Shangri-La Dialogue brought together decision makers from across the Asia-Pacific, North America, Europe, and the Middle East. Key regional security issues, including Ukraine conflict, China's threat in the Asia-Pacific, tension in Taiwan, among others, dominated the agenda at the summit. At the summit, U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin worked to refocus attention on China's threat in the Asia-Pacific.
And America will continue to play a vital role in the Indo-Pacific. Together with our friends across the region that we share. In the United States, across the United States government, across our political landscape, you'll find a strong and bipartisan commitment to the Indo-Pacific.
Austin's remarks triggered a reaction from China. Beijing said U.S. Indo-Pacific strategy was intended to create division, provoke confrontation, and undermine stability. Japan's Defense Minister Minoru Kihara too expressed concerns over the situation in the Indo-Pacific region. The summit was also addressed by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Zelensky thanked countries including the United States, Germany and the Netherlands for their military assistance. He informed the participants about the upcoming peace summit in Switzerland in mid-June.
More than 100 countries and international organizations have confirmed their participation in the summit for today. At the first summit, we will address 3 points of the peace formula: nuclear security, food security, and the release of prisoners of war. And of course, the Ukrainian children abducted by Russia.
Zelensky also held a bilateral meeting with other leaders. He met with the U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and the Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto. Zelensky also met Singaporean Prime Minister Lawrence Wong after he addressed the last day of the Shangri-La Dialogue Forum. Other bilateral meetings at the summit included U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's meeting with his South Korean counterpart Shin Won-sik on Sunday, and his meeting with Japanese Defense Minister Minoru Kihara. Austin also held a trilateral meeting with Japanese Defense Minister Kihara and South Korean Defense Minister Shin Won-sik on the sidelines of the summit in Singapore. Tensions in the Taiwan Strait also came up for discussions during Shangri-La dialogue. The Chinese Defense Minister reiterated China's stance on Taiwan.
The current situation in Taiwan Strait is severe. Figures like Lai Ching-te have shamelessly forgotten their roots and proclaimed the two-state theory, attempting to seek independence by relying on external forces and resorting to military means.
Shangri-La Dialogue is organized by the London-based International Institute of Strategic Studies. It is a unique platform for debate on developing security challenges. Fuzail Ahmed's report for DD India.
And still to come on DD India News Hour, we'll be talking with our guests about what does an uncertain verdict hold for South Africa with the ANC losing majority after 30 years. And Donald Trump has joined TikTok, the Chinese origin social media platform the Republican presidential candidate sought to ban when he was US president.
After a grueling campaign, after exhausting polling spanning 7 phases, the stage is set for the counting day, the grand finale of the largest electoral exercise ever. DD India is all decked up and ready, counting of votes for India's general elections. Accurate and fast results, in-depth analysis with experts and reporters everywhere. Only on DD India, 4th June, 6 a.m. onwards.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy, and before we go any further, another look at our top stories. India gets ready for counting day on Tuesday to find out the results of its general elections. Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim Assembly poll results are out. Landslide win for the BJP in Arunachal, winning 2/3 majority, while SKM sweeps Sikkim. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds a series of meetings on Sunday ranging from assessing the impact of cyclone Remal and the prevailing heat wave situation in the country. And the White House says it expects Israel to accept President Joe Biden's truce plan if the Hamas agrees, but 2 hardline ministers in Netanyahu's government threaten to quit if he accepts. South Africa's political landscape is shifting as the nation awaits the final results of its general elections. The ruling African National Congress is facing unprecedented challenges that could reshape its future leadership and governance strategy depending on the coalition it cobbles up with its rivals for all other purposes. The fate of President Cyril Ramaphosa also hangs in balance. More in this report.
Following announcement of results, talks are underway in South Africa for a coalition government. African National Congress said it will not replace President Cyril Ramaphosa.
Over the next few days, the ANC will be having discussions within the organization and with other parties and stakeholders on how best to establish national and provincial governments that reflect the will of the people and that are able to take the country forward.
Meanwhile, the African National Congress has pledged to heed the clear message from voters after experiencing a historic decline in support during last week's general election. The party's reduced majority has forced it to seek coalition partners for the first time since coming to power at the end of apartheid.
We call on all South Africans to resist the efforts of those forces who want to weaken our democracy, who want to undermine our electoral processes, and who want to disregard the will of the people. As a nation, we will stand together against those who threaten violence and instability. The people of South Africa, as they have shown in the past, will not tolerate any threats to our democracy.
Former South African President Jacob Zuma's newly formed Umkhonto we Sizwe party has threatened to challenge the election results in court. This follows a stronger than expected performance in election.
We are going to request for a commission of inquiry into this process, into these elections, in order for us to get down to the bottom of exactly what transpired. And we are going to push for that.
With coalition talks underway and potential legal battles looming, South Africa's political future hangs in the balance. The nation and the world now watch closely as the final election results are announced and the new government takes shape. Bureau Report, DD India.
Let's talk about this further. We're joined by our guest, Ambassador Gurjeet Singh. He's a former senior diplomat. He's been India's ambassador to the African Union as well. Good evening to you, Ambassador Singh. What do you make of what's happened in South Africa? I'm sure the ANC never thought that in just a course of 30 years, all that it did, its leader actually, Nelson Mandela, did for South Africa, the ending of apartheid would be undone in this manner, although it's not been completely undone, and South Africa is neither here nor there with these election results.
Thank you for having me. So I think even the ANC did not expect that they will lose 17% vote share over these 5 years and fall to 40% from the 57, 58 that they had. That is serious. But they have been done in by the persistent problems that ANC governments have faced even from President Zuma's time. So what is interesting is President Zuma ditches the ANC, forms his own party and takes away 15% of the vote, which is almost what the ANC has lost.
Yes.
So I don't understand how Ramaphosa is blamed for all the ills which started in Zuma's time. There's corruption, there's poor power, there's crime, there's lack of employment, general disaffection. So therefore, while on
because perhaps the people's perception is that even after Zuma was taken out of the picture, it didn't really improve the situation. Things still went downhill.
Yes, I think the anger is against the ANC and not against Zuma, because Zuma's new party picks up 15% of the national vote, becomes a kingmaker, and don't forget, in his own province of KwaZulu-Natal, he actually picks up 46% of the vote to become the lead player. So I think this is like what happened in India in 1967, where the single dominant party system was broken and an era of coalition set in. It is a tough call on South Africa to learn to live with each other when during the elections you have been quarreling so much.
Now, the ANC is saying that we're talking to everyone to come up with a coalition, but we will not compromise on Cyril Ramaphosa. He will stay where he is. That is not part of any sort of a deal. We will not negotiate on that. Is that a realistic position to take, just something to ensure that they get a favorable bargain whenever they work things out?
Well, I think the ANC is fighting the political battle under the leadership of President Ramaphosa. I don't think they want to open up the ANC leadership issue now, because that will be very difficult. Secondly, I think this is a clear signal to Zuma, because Zuma is saying, I will talk to the ANC without Ramaphosa, old nemesis. So I think that red line they are setting down. Secondly, I think the Democratic Alliance, which was essentially a party of whites, but now gets the support of Indians and coloreds, they have maintained their vote share, marginal rise. So if they come along with the ANC, you have a very stable government. If the MK of Zuma comes, you have stability. But the third party, which is the EFF, which are the most radical elements of the old ANC, they do not have enough to just join the ANC and give a stable government. So they have to be a third leg if they want to be in government. So therefore, these three options are there. One, go with the DA. Second, go with the EFF and the MK to balance them out. But I think we should not forget the small Inkatha Freedom Party,
Correct,
which has
4%.
consistently got 3.8%. And I think they are pretty annoyed with Zuma because he has taken the bulk of their vote share in KwaZulu-Natal. They could be a small balancer coming up.
Okay, but the DA is saying that it's going to make efforts to come up with its own coalition to completely deny ANC any part of the next government in South Africa. So to what extent does that queer the pitch for everyone, not just the ANC?
I think that was a pre-poll pitch. Today what they are saying is that we will talk to the ANC, but we will also consult our 9 other allies, and we will have some kind of an agreement. See, the bigger disagreements are that Zuma and the EFF want all white land nationalized and mining nationalized, which will really scare away the investor, which the South African economy can't afford. Getting the Democratic Alliance, which is a pro-investor party, on board stabilizes the economy, opens opportunities. But the DA has problems because Zuma wants his health reforms not to be displaced. He wants that black empowerment should not be compromised. These are things which the DA so far has been opposing, so they will have to compromise on. And I think one big thing is that, you know, ANC has been fighting a huge battle against Israel in the International Court of Justice.
Correct.
DA believes that they should not give up the business element of Israel and they should not break relations with them. So there are nuanced differences. I think a common minimum program is what the ANC will look for with the best partner possible without having to change Zuma.
And the constitutionally mandated 14 days of the government has to be put in place. Do you think there's time enough to work things out within that period?
Well, if they can't work things out, they may form a minority government with outside issue-based support.
All right. Well, let's see what happens, and a clearer picture needs to emerge, although for some reasons it seems even the official results have not been declared yet, although more than 99% of the votes had already been counted, so we're waiting for that as well. But thank you for joining us for the moment, Ambassador Gurjeet Singh. Now, Israel's acceptance of a framework deal proposed by US President Joe Biden to wind down the Gaza conflict is confirmed by an aide to Prime Minister Netanyahu, although he has criticized it as well as flawed. 2 far-right Israeli ministers have threatened to resign, potentially destabilizing Netanyahu's coalition if he accepts this proposal. Regional powers, including the UAE and Qatar, have expressed support for the ceasefire proposal, as Israel's defense minister has refused to accept Hamas's rule in Gaza as any part of the deal.
An aide to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu confirmed on Sunday that Israel had accepted a framework deal for winding down the Gaza war, now being advanced by US President Joe Biden. However, in an interview with Britain's Sunday Times, Ophir Falk, chief foreign policy advisor to Netanyahu, described it as flawed and in need of much more work. However, 2 far-right Israeli ministers have threatened to resign and bring down the governing coalition of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu if he accepts a peace proposal. The proposal also got backing from regional power. On Sunday, United Arab Emirates President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan and Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani met in Abu Dhabi to discuss ceasefire proposals unveiled by US President Joe Biden, expressing support for the proposal. The US President Biden on Friday called on Hamas militants to consider a new offer from Israel, suggesting that agreeing to the terms could initiate the de-escalation of the conflict.
Expectations that if Hamas agrees to the proposal, as was transmitted to them, an Israeli proposal, that Israel would say yes. Again, well, all you get in a yes right now, George, and it's not a small thing, but what you get is the start of phase 1. So you get some hostages coming out, initial hostages, you get some calm, you get some more humanitarian assistance, maybe up to 600 trucks, and then the 2 sides can start talking about phase two. So Prime Minister Netanyahu's team, in fact, his foreign minister, again, just said that they welcome this announcement by the president and that they did, in fact, agree that this was their proposal.
Simultaneously, tens of thousands of demonstrators gathered in Tel Aviv on Saturday, urging the government to accelerate efforts to secure the release of hostages held by Gaza terrorists since October 7.
We have to do something because of the situation, because of the lunatic government we have, and we have to help and to save the hostages. For God's sake, someone has to do it. Our partner is Biden and not the government of Israel, to our sorrow. So we have to come here.
Similarly, protests occurred across the country, reflecting widespread concern and pressure for swift action.
Now, Mexicans are voting on Sunday in a historic elections weighing gender, democracy and populism as they chart the country's path forward, shadowed by cartel violence. Claudia Sheinbaum, the former mayor of Mexico City, has maintained a comfortable double-digit lead in opinion polls. Vartil Galvez, an opposition center and tech entrepreneur, represents a coalition of parties. With two women leading the contest, Mexico will likely elect its first female president, a major step in a country long marked by its macho culture. The election is also the biggest in the country's history. More than 20,000 congressional and local positions are up for grabs, according to the National Electoral Institute. It's also been one of the bloodiest as well, with a lot of candidates falling to the guns of the cartels. Now, Hunter Biden is set to become the first child of a sitting U.S. president tried for crimes just days after the historic guilty verdict against Donald Trump, two events that may inject fresh uncertainty into the 2024 elections. Jury selection begins Monday in the first of two cases Hunter Biden has tried to avoid for years, both to stay out of prison and spare his father, President Joe Biden, political and personal turmoil as he runs for a second term, most likely against Trump. The trial in Wilmington, Delaware, on 3 federal gun violations is expected to plumb the depths of the young Biden's drug use. During that period, prosecutors allege he lied about his substance abuse on a federal form to illegally purchase a firearm. Special counsel David Weiss has indicated he plans to raise painful events from the Biden family's past related to Hunter's conduct and events that involve the president. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump has said he would accept home confinement or jail time after his historic conviction by a New York jury last week, but that it would be tough for the public to accept. Trump did not elaborate on what he thought might happen if that point is reached. Trump has used his conviction to step up his fundraising efforts, but has not otherwise sought to mobilize his supporters, in contrast to his comments protesting his 2020 loss to Biden that were followed by an attack by his supporters on the 6th of January 2021 on the U.S. Capitol. Trump has vowed to appeal his conviction by the New York jury, which found him guilty of 34 felony counts over falsifying documents to cover up a payment to silence a porn star ahead of 2016 elections. But he's told Fox News that if he is confined in any manner, that may be a breaking point for the public, by which he means his supporters. Donald Trump has joined TikTok, the Chinese-owned social media platform he previously attempted to ban as U.S. president. This move comes as Trump intensifies his campaign activities for the upcoming November elections. He launched his account with a video at a UFC fight in Newark, in New Jersey, gaining over 1.3 million followers. ByteDance, TikTok's owner, is currently contesting a U.S. law requiring its sale by January or facing a ban. Despite privacy concerns, TikTok claims it protects user data from the Chinese government. North Korea said it would stop sending balloons carrying trash over the border to South Korea, but vowed to resume the practice if anti-North Korean leaflets are flown over again from the south. South Korea has had a taste of how dirty and wasteful it is to collect trash after North Korea sent 15 tons of it using 3,500 balloons. The North's Vice Minister of Defense Kim Kang-il said in a statement carried by state media outlet KCNA. South Korea said it would take unendurable measures against North Korea for sending the trash balloons over the border, which could include blaring propaganda from loudspeakers directed at the North. The announcement from President Yoon Suk Yeol's office followed a meeting of his National Security Council on a response to what Seoul said were more than 700 balloons carrying trash that Pyongyang sent over the heavily fortified border to annoy its neighbor. Let's now take a look at some other updates coming in from around the world. Well, parts of southern Germany remain submerged on Sunday after heavy rain caused severe flooding. Several districts in Bavaria have declared emergencies due to high water levels. The German Weather Service warned of more heavy rain to come in southern Germany on Sunday. A growing grass fire that began Saturday afternoon in San Joaquin County, California has consumed 11,000 acres, forcing residents in its path to evacuate the area. Area officials had recently warned that gusty winds, hotter temperatures and dried out grass could create dangerous fire-conducive conditions. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies, collectively known as the OPEC Plus, on Sunday agreed to extend their official crude output cuts into 2025. The group seeks to shore up the market amid tepid global demand growth, high interest rates and rising rival U.S. production. OPEC Plus members are currently cutting output by a total of 5.86 million barrels per day. International Day of Yoga celebrations have begun in Sri Lanka. A set of energizing curtain raiser events at SOS Children's Village and Jaffna Teaching Hospital were held by Consulate General of India in Jaffna. The celebrations began in Hambantota last week when similar events were conducted by the Indian Consulate General in Hambantota on Friday. The High Commission of India will also hold events starting the 13th of June. A moderate earthquake measuring 5.0 on the Richter scale struck Myanmar on Sunday afternoon, jolting Dhaka and adjoining areas in Bangladesh. The tremors were felt in Dhaka, Chattogram, Sylhet and some other parts of the neighbouring country of India. The epicenter of the earthquake was in Myanmar, about 441 kilometers south-southeast of Dhaka. No reports of loss to property or life have been reported from anywhere in Bangladesh till now. The Unified Payments Interface, or UPI network operated by the National Payments Corporation of India, has achieved a significant milestone by processing a record 14.04 billion transactions in May, surpassing the 13.3 billion transactions recorded in April. In terms of value, UPI facilitation transactions have amounted to 20.45 lakh crore rupees in May compared to 19.64 lakh crore in April, according to the data released by the NPCI. Let's now get you some other updates from around the country as well. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal on Sunday returned to Tihar jail as his interim bail in Delhi liquor policy case ended. Later on, Delhi court sent Chief Minister Kejriwal to judicial custody till the 5th of June. Kejriwal had been granted interim bail by the Supreme Court to campaign for the Lok Sabha elections. India's Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan visited INS Chilka, the premier ab initio training establishment of the Indian Navy. The CDS was briefed on the pivotal role played by INS Chilka in shaping future sea warriors of the Indian naval forces. And let's now get you some sporting updates as well. Now, India's Jasmine Lamboria secured her spot for Paris Olympics after defeating Mali's Marine Kamara 5-0 in the quarterfinals of the 57 kg category at the World Olympic Boxing Qualifier in Bangkok. The Commonwealth Games bronze medalist reclaimed the 57 kg quota. India was forced to surrender following Parveen Huda's 22-month suspension for a whereabouts failure. Jasmine had competed in the 60 kg category in the initial world qualifiers and was allowed to participate in the 57 kg event as a reserve in Bangkok. And that's all we have for this edition of DD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both iOS and Android platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download the app now. We'll be back very soon with more news and updates as a break here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.